Hey, good evening, Alpha Echo 4 X-Ray Oscar A4XO. I just wanted to kind of get together with you all and show you how I planned out not really an impromptu 10-park rove, but a 10-park rove that I kind of knew was going to happen based on some situations that were happening with us. So stick around and we'll talk about how I did the 10-park rove here over this past weekend. Okay, first I wanted to talk about the parks that I went to, and then we'll show you a map on how I kind of figured it out to start with. The first one, of course, was Eufaula National Wildlife Area, or National Wildlife Refuge. There is an Alabama and a Georgia side to that one, so I went to the Bradley unit. It's on the map as Bradley unit there first. Then the next one I went to, and POTA doesn't put these in order, but Florence Marina State Park and then Providence Canyon State Park are really, really close to each other. Then at some point I meandered over towards Americus and hit up, before I did that, I hit up two WMAs, Hanalahachie and Lannahechee. Those two WMAs were on the way there on the highway. Then also I hit up Jimmy Carter National Historic Site, which I like going to the Boyhood Farm because there's a restroom there and it's not in the city. It's out of the way a little bit. Then I went through Americus and ended up at Andersonville. Had to get that one done before they closed the gate. They were actually closing the gate. They were coming up with they have a little truck with lights on it, and they were closing the gate right as I was finishing up. After that one, then I believe I went over to Montezuma Bluffs on the way out, and then ended up down at Flat Creek, and then which is my normal park that I go to a lot, and then Georgia National Fairgrounds. So that was the parks that I went to, and in the next little bit here, we'll show you a map of it. Okay, so remember I was telling you that this Alabama section for the WMA and the National Wildlife Area, in Eufaula, actually has a Georgia side. Well, on the map, it's called the Bradley unit of the Eufaula National Wildlife Area. So, if you look for that, it's up here somewhere, just north of the area for the one in Alabama. But at any rate, the reason I was there is because I had a class in Columbus. And so what you want to do when you start looking for how to do a rove is, where is your actual starting point, right? In my case, I was going down there because there was a person that needed Eufaula for all of their Workdall, Georgia, and unfortunately he had to leave the house, so I couldn't, talk to him on Saturday. But that was the anchor for this rove because everything else was east. So I just picked that one as the anchor because it was the one I needed for him, as well as kind of the beginning of this stretch of parks here. And so after the Eufaula, I went up to Florence Marina and then over to Providence Canyon State Park. Those two are kind of fairly close to each other. So after I went to Providence Canyon here, then we go over to Hanalahachie, which is the next one on. It's actually quite a big WMA, honestly, and so that one was definitely in the list. So after Hanalahachie, which is actually quite a big area, then you have these roads here, and they connect over to 9798 or 9788, which is Lannahechee. Jimmy Carter was next, and it's actually an interesting one because at Jimmy Carter you actually have 3 different areas that you can activate. You can activate at the Boyhood Home. You can activate at the at the museum. There's a museum which is his old school, and then there's also an actual working farm that's still there. That they actually do have people working in and having all the food and everything produced. Um, at that point, then I went through Americas, and I went ahead and decided to head on up uh, out of Americas up through not a square. I don't want a square. I want a line up to Andersonville, 0799. And Andersonville closes at 5 o'clock. By the way, that's also the location of the National POW Museum is there. So if you get a chance to go to Andersonville, say hi to my parents that are buried there, and also the National POW Museum is up there. So then I had to decide if I was going to go down to Flint River, which is 3750, or if I was going to continue up to go on back home. By this time, it was after 5, and I had already had that area closed, for Andersonville. So I did decide to go on up to Montezuma Bluffs, and then after Montezuma Bluffs, I was like, okay, I need 2 more to get my 10, 2 more to get my 10, and then I took, I'm not even sure what road it was to get from Montezuma Bluffs. I think it was Highway 49, I believe, which is like this one, and then it kind of curves around, and then I had to go back down a little bit. But 7465, which is my main park that I always go to, and then finishing up at the other park, the new park up here at the fairgrounds, which is 12772, the Georgia National Fairgrounds. And so that was the route that I took to get there. Now I don't know how many miles I drove or any of that thing, whatever, as far as all of that is concerned. Um, I didn't get a great deal of contacts at all these parks, but it made this particular route made a great a great route for me because it brought me back home anyway. I live kind of just north of Perry at the last park that's on this map here, and it was the best option for me, to go, and so yeah, so that's kind of why I picked it. Now, there are some things that I'd like to say about why I did it this way, and reiterate why my path went, and so we'll talk about that in a second. Again, when you're starting a Rove, when you're trying to figure out a Rove, is the Rove a circle around your house? Do I live here in Dawson, for example, or Cuthbert, and do I do a kind of a circle? If you look at this, there's a circle here with some of these parks going down to Seminole and Albany, and then coming back to Dawson and over to Cuthbert. You could easily do that in a day. You could do half of these. You could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 right there. And if you did another one, you'd have a 10 park, right there, right around Cuthbert. Or do you live in Cordele, for example, and you want to go, you want to do the Hatchery and then Veteran State Park, and then come up to this one, and then go back over to Andersonville. This is a Flint River here, 3750. You want to go to Flint River, this is the Flint River proper here, and then, over there, and then come back up to I-75 and cut back into Cordele or whatever. So that's what you got to figure out, kind of like where your center is, or where your actual beginning is. For me, on this one, it was easy because I needed 0391 or 0139 rather to be the anchor because that's where the ultimate starting point was for this. Some of the other ones I've done along the Alapaha River over in East Georgia, or over in Darien, were because they were all along a river as well. So just got to figure out kind of what your anchor is, what your goal is, and how many you think you can do. I didn't start this until 2:30, around 2:30. I didn't start this until 2:30, so I had until 8 p.m. Eastern time to finish up, and I finished up about 7. I think some about 7:30 maybe up in Perry. And so it was a long day, but with me only starting at 2:30 and finishing up by 7:30, that's not bad. And even though I didn't get a great deal of contacts, I did enjoy the Rove, and I hope that helps you hope that helps figure out kind of what your goal might be, what your idea might be, and so hopefully that'll help you out. Thanks, and appreciate you joining me and listening to my video.